Mhm. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Mario. We are on 45.
Mhm.
Mem Hey,
What about tomorrow before we start?
3 o'clock.
Okay.
We said yesterday that the bulls and the rams are not ma'akev each other. Elim dehecha. Now, which rams are we talking about? Idahanu. Remember, there's parsha in Pinchas, which is Chumash Pekudim, which talks about the Musaf korbanos, and then you have the korbanos mentioned in Sefer Vayikra, which talks about the daily ola that has to be brought on that yontif. Idahanu. Now, if we're talking about the musaf of Shavuos, there's no elim. It's the aisle. It's one aisle. Um, the musaf of Shavuos is 2 bulls, 1 ram, and 7 lambs. But there's olos, so it's not elim. It's aisle. If you're talking about the primary korbanos, not the musaf korbanos, but the primary korbanos of Shavuos, which is the ones that include the Shtei Alechem, that was 1 bull, 2 rams, and 7 lambs. And there it says yiyu, the elim shnaim yiyu. So havayik sibuin, which means that they are ma'akev if you don't bring it. So the Gemara says loylam dat seres Torah's kohanim. We are talking about the korbanos brought as the primary ola, not the musaf, which is the one that's mentioned in Vayikra, which is 1 bull, 2 rams, and 7 lambs. The hachi kamar lo elim the Torah's kohanim ma'akvilei la'ayel the chumash kohanim. The bringing of the lambs in the morning do not affect the bringing of the aisle of the musaf in the after that are mentioned in chumash kohanim. The lo ayel the chumash kohanim ma'akiv lu'leil the Torah's kohanim. They're all independent. They're not related to each other. So the Gemara mentions that in the Mishnah where it says elaporim dafilo adari lo makvi, they're not ma'akev either to each other, right? The 2 bulls that are brought as the musaf, nor are they ma'akev each other the ones in Chumash Vayikra, the ones in Chumash Kudim, and the elim by the rams, the hachad lo ma'akev. They're not ma'akev neither within their group or between them and the other group. So mili the 2 musaf bulls are not ma'akev. The 2 eilim that are brought on Shavuos are not ma'akev the Shavuos ayil that's brought as the musaf. And the 7 lambs that are brought as part of the musaf are not makiv each other. Even if you brought one, that would be okay. Then it says in Yechezkel, Uviyom HaChodesh, Par ben Boker Tomim, you bring, on Rosh Chodesh L'chora, you bring a par. And then it says, Sheishes Kvosim, Va'ayil Tzmimim Yiyu, and 1 lamb and six lambs, 1 ram. Now, par matamad lomer, what's this par? Lefishem abator parim. It says in Rosh Chodesh you bring 2 pars. Uminayim shalom matzah. So this pasuk in Yechezkel is teaching me the following: Shem lo matzah shnai mevi echad tamad lomer par. So they're not makiv. Even if you don't have enough money to buy 2, if you bring 1, you're okay. Then the Gemara asks, Sheishes kvasim mat tamad lomer. Lefisha because of bator shiva. It says on Rosh Chodesh you bring 7 lambs. So what's this Sheishes business? Uminayim shalom matzah shiva yavi shisha. Tamad lomer Sheishes. If you don't have 7, you bring 6, you're okay. Uminayim shalom matzah shisha yavo chamisha yavi arba yavi shloisha yavi shnayim afilu echad. Going down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As long as you bring 1, you're okay. Tamud lomer v'lakvasim kasher tosig yato. Whatever you can afford. So you already have down to 1. What do you need? Sheishes kvasim lamali. The comma, the efshar laduri madrin. Listen, if it says 7, try to bring 7, and if you can't, then you can bring less. Now, if you do have all the parim and all the kvasim, then if you don't bring them, the korban's not good. Talmud lomer yiyu. It does say yiyu, so that's it should be that way, but only if you have all of them. Another pasuk in Yechezkel. Kor ma Hashem Elokim. Barishon bechad l'chodesh tikach par ben bakar tami. First day on the first month, l'chor Rosh Hashanah, you should take a par. V'chitesas hamigdash. Chitesa means to clean. But chitesa implies that it's a chatas. So the Gemara says, what do you mean chatas? Oily. The Torah says that is an ola, not a chatas. On Rav Yochanan, there's no explanation. Parsha zu Eliyahu l'dorsha. Eliyahu is going to have to come and explain. Rav Ashi Omar, miluim ikru b'mei Ezra. No. Just like they did a Chanukas Hamishkan in the Midbar, when they built Bayis Sheni in the time of Ezra, they did the same thing. Keder sheikrivu b'mei Moshe. And this was the par that was brought as part of the Miluim of the Bayis Sheni. Tainam ha'achi Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Parsha zu Eliyahu asid l'dorsha. We don't understand. Here it seems like it's a chatas, when it's really an ola. Amar lo Rabbi Yossi. Miluim ikriv b'mei Ezra. Keder shekrivu b'mei Moshe. Amar lo tanor dait chashinach. You put me at ease. Another pasuk, which is from my bar mitzvah haftorah, Parsha Semor. It says nevela or treifa, whether it's bird or an animal, the kohanim cannot eat it. Well, what does that mean? Kohanim lo yochla Yisrael achli, meaning only kohanim cannot eat nevelas and treifas, but Yisraelim can. On Rav Yochanan Parsha zu Eliyahu l'dorsha. We will have to wait until Eliyahu Navi. Ravina Amar no, it's a chiddush kohanim itzrichalei. Kohanim are allowed to eat in the base of Mikdash birds that have had their neck cut open from the back, which makes it a nevela. I might have thought if they can eat a bird nevela, tishtri namya nevela utrefa, that maybe other nevelas and trefas of oifos and behemoths they could eat. Kamash that no. So therefore, there was a reason to bring it. Then the pasuk in Yechezkel v'chein taseh b'shiva b'chodesh, on the 7th of the month, you bring a korban. From someone who was like a shoygeg, and then you shall atone for the bias. Now, we don't have, this is on Nisan. We don't have a special korban on the 7th of Nisan. Shiva, Rav Yochanan, Elu Shiva Shvatim Shechatu. If the majority of Klal Yisrael sin, so each individual person doesn't bring a chatas, that's when the Sanhedrin brings a par helam davar shel tzibur. And this is 7 out of 12 is the majority. And then you bring this par helam davar, afal pishein ruba shel kahal. Even though the 7 tribes may be less than the majority of the number of people, so that's why it says chodesh. It's a chidush. Im chidshu v'armu chelev mutter. If the Sanhedrin paskind for those 7 shvatim, their individual Sanhedrins said that chelev is permitted, they have to have a mistaken psak, and then they have to in shoygig eat it. So this is brought about this pasuk chein tasa b'shiva b'chodesh refers to the par helam davar shel tzibur. Arid Marav, Zocher also aish letov. V'chanina bechizkiya shmo. Chanina bechizkiya is remembered for good. Why? Shemalehu nigna Sefer Cheskel. The Chachamim were ready to bury Sefer Cheskel and not to canonize it in Tanakh, because there were many steers and complications. Shahayu dvarim soitrim divrei Torah. Ma asa hela shloshim es garbei shem. He brought 300 barrels of oil up into an attic so that he could have a lamp, so that he could study the whole time, never come down. The Yashav Baliu Drasha, and he found all of the drashas to resolve all the steers. Rab Shimon. We said if you have enough money to buy many pars, you could bring many pars and all the wine. But if you can have many bulls, but not have enough money for the wine, then you should only bring 1 bull and bring the wine. Torah Rabbana. Ve'efala par, ve'efala ayil yaseh mincha. He makes a mincha for the par and for the ayil. V'lakvosim kasher tasig yado. For the sheep if he can afford. V'shemen hin la'efa. And a hin for each efa of flour. Rav Shimon, v'chimidas parm ve'elim achasi. They're not, the measurements are not the same. The mincha for a bull is 3 isarim, and the mincha for an ayil, a ram, is 2 isarim. So why does it say each one brings an ephah? Ella. Shemayim par merubim v'lo hayulayim. If they had many animals but not enough wine or enough flour, yavu par echad u'nesachad. You bring 1 par and it's various mincha yayin. Vayikruvu kulan b'lo nechasim. And don't offer all of them without the wine. Same thing. If you have too many, if you have a lot of rams, you don't have the flour. You only bring 1 ram, and it's ephah. Below ephahs. Mishnah. Haparva elim vakvasim. So on Shavuos, for the olah, not the musaf, they brought 1 bull, 2 rams, 7 lambs, and the shteich vasim. That's the shlomim. The 1 bull, 2 rams, and 7 lambs, and a chat is an olah, and then a chatis, which was a goat, and then the shlomim, which was 2 lambs. And the shtei alechem are permitted to be eaten once you shech the shtei lamb, but the 2 lambs and the 2 loaves were waved together. Hapar v'ayilim v'akvosim v'asoyer, the ola ein ma'akvinas halechem. They have nothing to eat, even if you don't have them, you can still eat the lechem. V'o lechem akvan. And whether you have the lechem or not, that doesn't prevent you from offering that oila. Now, regarding the shtei alechem and the 2 kvasim, which are the shlamim, halechem ma'akev v'zakvasim. If you don't have the lechem, you don't offer the kvasim. But veina kvasim akven salechem. But without the kvasim, you can still eat the lechem. That's the Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Shimon ben Nanas. Low key, not so. Ela kvasim aknas alechem. Without the kvasim, in a chanami, you can't bring the lechem. But valechem enu makvas kvasim. If you don't have the lechem, you can still shech the kvasim. Shekein matzinu ksha Yisrael b'midbar. Remember, the lechem had to be made with grain that you found in Eretz Yisrael. They were not in Eretz Yisrael for 40 years. So when the Bnei Yisrael were in the midbar, our boy Mishana karbu kvasim below lechem. They offered the two kvasim as the shlamim on Shavuos without the lechem.
Only they had animals during the 40 years?
Yes, they did. Of course they did. They offered korbanos every day.
But they didn't eat the animals, they only ate the manna.
But they offered animals as korbanos. And they could eat from the meat of korbanos that they were allowed to eat from. Not every korban, if an olah is offered, you can't eat. The korban Pesach, they ate every year.
Yeah.
Afkan, you can do kvasim below lechem. So two, ledoirois, the kvasim could be offered even without the lechem. Rab Shimon, halacha kedive ben Nanas, we paskin like ben Nanas, aval ena tam bidvar, but not for the reason he gave. In fact, all the korbanos musaf that are mentioned in Parshas Pinchas were offered in the Mishkan. But various korbanos mentioned in Vayikra were not offered. You had to wait until you brought it into the base of Midrash, and therefore the Shtei Alechem was not brought in the Midbar. Mishabol Aretz Karvu Elu ve'elu. Once in Eretz Yisrael, then everything was offered. So therefore, he doesn't have the same svara as Ben Nanas. So then, so then, if I say the halacha is like Rab Ben Nanas, where the lambs are offered even without the Shtei Alechem, where do I get that from? When you shecht a lamb and you do zrikas adam on the mizbech, that's it. You don't need the bread. The bread is not a matir, a permitter for you to eat the meat of the shtei kvasim. So the kvasim matir themselves, but v'lo alechem below kvasim. You may not eat the shtei alechem unless you've shechted the shchita and the zrika of the shtei kvasim allows you to eat the bread. She'ein lo mi yatirenu. The bread does not have another matir, just the zrika sadam of the shtei kvasim. Rabbanon. It says by the shtei alechem in Vayikra, Parsha Semor, v'kravtem al alechem. You be makriv sort of on the bread, or with the bread. Choiv al alechem. That means the korban is offered only when you have the lechem. Shivas kvosim tmimim, those 7 lambs, that was the ola. Avol b'shein lechem. Those are offered no matter, has nothing to do with the lechem. In kemat hamadar ala lechem. Alamit shlo nischayvu b'kvosim kodim shnischayvu b'lechem. They were not commanded to bring the shtei kvosim prior to being commanded to bring the lechem. They were Tarfon. Rabbi Kiva Omer, Yachol Heinen Kvasim Amurim Kan. Perhaps the Sheva Kvasim also mentioned in Vayikra. Heinen Kvasim Amurim B'Chumash Kudim. Maybe, because remember, Chumash Kudim talks about the Musaf. But Rabbi Kiva wants to say maybe the Sheva Kvasim mentioned in Vayikra are the same over there? No. Amrit. These 7 kvasim are not the same as the one mentioned in Parshas Pinchas. Because in Parshas Vayikra, in Emor, it says 1 bull and 2 rams. But in Pinchas, it says 2 bulls and 1 ram. The Musaf ones have nothing to do with the Shtei Alechem. They're brought as a korban Musaf by themselves. But the Ola of the morning, before the Musaf is brought, which is the 1 bull, 2 rams, and 7 lambs, those need the bread. Comes out all the various korbanos mentioned in Pinchas, in Bamidbar, were offered in the Midbar. But the normal Ola that came with the Shtei Alechem, in the Midbar, they didn't bring the Shtei Alechem because they didn't have the grain. That was not offered in the Midbar. Maybe you showed me an impossibility because in Vayikra it says 1 bull, 2 rams. And in Pinchas it says 2 bulls and 1 ram. Fine. So maybe they're different. But you haven't proved to me that the 7 lambs mentioned in Pinchas aren't the same lambs that are mentioned in Vayikra. No. Since the bull and the rams are different in number, so we're talking about these 7 lambs are also different. Why do you say that the bull and the ram changed? Dilma, hachikam rachmana. Iboy par ushne elam likorev. If you have, maybe you gave us an option. If you have 1 bull and 2 rams, offer that. Iboy shnei par valachad likorev. And if you end up with only 2 bulls and 1 ram, you can do that. It means it gives you a choice. So not only would the number change, says the Gemara, the way the order of how they were revealed to us was also different. In Vayikra it says 7 lambs, 1 bull, and 2 rams. In Pinchas it says 2 bulls, 1 ram, and 7 lambs. So they were listed to us differently. So they're completely 2 different sets of korbanos. Okay. Then we say Alechem Ma'akev is a kvasim. Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shimon ben Nanas had a machlokes. Rabbi Kiva held that if you don't have the bread, you can't shech the kvasim. But Rabbi Shimon ben Nanas said, no, you can shech the kvasim without the bread. My time at Rabbi Kiva, it says, Yiyu Tiena. In one of the psukim, it says Yiyu, they shall be. And another one, it says Tiena, they shall be. So in where it says Yiyu, that's referring to the Shtei Alechem, Al Halam Lechem, Avkan Lechem. So where it says Tiena, it's a Gzeir Shava, when it's talking about the lambs, it also has to be. And therefore, if it has to be Yiyu, the Havaya, it must be. You can't have the kvasim without the lechem. Benanas are Yiyu, not Yiyu Tiena, Yiyu. Malal and kvasim, Avkan kvasim. The Yiyu refers only to the kvasim. And therefore the kvasim can be even without the lechem. Uvenanas nami nelif mitiena. Malal lechem, Avkan lechem. Why doesn't Benanas use the same Gzeir Shava as Rabbi Kiva does? So, Danin Yiyu mi Yiyu. The ain't Danin Yiyu mi Tiyena. Yiyu is a real Gzeir Shava. It's an equation. It's exactly the same words. Yiyu, Tiyena, they may mean the same thing, but they're different words. My nafkamina. That shouldn't make a difference. Hatanat Rabbi Shmuel. V'shava koin uvoa koin. We make a Gzeir Shava even with 2 different words. Zeu Shiva v'zeu Bia. So Yiyu Tiena could be an absolutely good Gzeir Shava. Yes, says the Gemara, you have no choice by Vishava coin of coin. There was no other comparison. But if you have another place where it's exactly the same word, yiyu, midadamile yalfinan, we make the Gzer Shava where it's exact equation. Rabbi Kiva should accept that as well. Nami leilaf yiyu miyiyu. So Rabbi Kiva rather preferences danin davar shematana lekoim midavar shematana lekoim. We're going to make the Gzer Shava between things that are gifts to the coin. Lafuke hani de oilus denu. The yiyu of the shtei lechem and the shlomim, the Kohanim eat from that. But the earlier pasuk, when it says yiyu, where it says tiena, is also a gift to the Kohanim, which is referring to the shtei lechem. But the vayiyu, the yiyu that Benanis is learning the Gzer Shava from is regarding the Yola. The Yola is completely burnt. That's why Rabbi Kiva prefers to learn something that's matana l'koin midavar shematana l'koin. Another way to explain the machlokes, they're arguing in the psukim themselves. It says, Kodesh Yul Hashem LaKohen. They shall be holy for God, for the Kohen. Rabbi Kiva Sovar, Ezeu Davar Shekulim LaKohen. What goes entirely to the Kohen? Have you opened Zur Lechem? The Lechem is not burnt, the Lechem is eaten by the Kohanim. Ubenanis Miksiv Kodesh Yul HaKohen. It's Kodesh Yul Hashem LaKohen Ksiv. Ezeu Davar Shemiktsosel Hashem Miktsosel LaKohen. What is something that is partially for Hashem and partial to Kohen? That's Eviomer Elu Kvasim. That's a shlamim, which some is burnt and some is eaten. What does Rabbi Kiva do with that? Miksiv Kodesh Yul Hashem LaKohen. It says Lashem LaKohen Ksiv. Ki Ravuna Dom Ravuna Kno Hashem Unas LaKohen. It's in fact given to Hashem, and Hashem gives it to the Kohen. So it's completely to Hashem, but Hashem gives it completely to the Kohen. So it's not an issue. Okay, we'll stop here. Tomorrow we're going to learn at 3:00. Good night, everybody.
Good night.